talking, and I need more of a show right now. It's time that you made your mind up, 'cause lately all it ever does is change. Feels like we're only talking, going round and around, back around. I will fight like no other every day. I won't stop like the others. I will stay. 'Cause now is the right time, and I'm feeling alright. I'm playing your game like I know I can win right now. It's a fun night. You got me on tonight, 'cause loving you is like I'm walking a tightrope so high. I won't be turning around, no, I won't be turning around. It's the right time. I'm feeling alright. I'm playing your game like I will win tonight. I think I'll do it on my way. I'm gonna show you what I'm going through, get you out of your comfort zone, 'cause I need more of the truth right now. It's time that you made your mind up, 'cause lately all it ever does is change. Feels like we're only talking, going round and around, back around. I will fight like no other every day. I won't stop like the others. I will stay. 'Cause now is the right time, and I'm feeling alright. I'm playing your game like I know I can win right now. It's a fun night. You got me on tonight, 'cause loving you is like I'm walking a tightrope so high. I won't be turning around, no, I won't be turning around. It's the right time. I'm feeling alright. I'm playing your game like I will win tonight. Don't forget it, don't forget it, don't forget it. We'll turn this around. Don't forget it, don't forget it, don't forget it. We'll turn this around.
We just want to say a huge thank you for your participation. We absolutely love to see you get involved. So the only things left to do now are to sit back, relax, have you got your munchies? And enjoy the show.
Hey everyone, as he looks down to make sure his microphone is live, great to see you. Welcome to Geeksvana Live and to our review of 2020. I've been looking forward to this show to go across some of the... It's been fun looking back at some of the stories whilst I've been preparing for this show that we've covered in 2020, which is of course our first full year. We were operating as a channel in 2019, but 2020 was our first full year, and what a 2020 it was, eh? It's like, as I put in the chat before the show, dear 2021, please be nice. We need a nice year, especially for us droners. Philip Koshat, thank you very much for the $5 super chat. Really appreciate that. A $5 for your 5K, Sean. Congrats. Thank you, sir. And in fact, that is actually the first thing I was going to talk about. I just want to say hi to everybody in the chat very quickly first. Hi, Michael Blade, El Smeghead, our senior moderator. Hello, sir. Philip Koshat. Welsh Rob, good to see you, Rob. Drone Shots, hello, sir. Andy Keast, good to see you. Doc Murdoch, hope you are well, sir. And Simon Hawkins, hello. Mark Lum, a few of our channel members in the chat as well. Good to see you all. Mike Miller, thank you for popping in. I know you're driving, so hi, sir. I know you're driving and listening. Trevor Kerr-Lewis, hello. And Stephen, the Flyby guys, popped in the chat earlier to let everybody in the chat know as well that he is joining us this evening as my co-host, but he is running a little bit late. He's actually over in Dubai at the moment, being a professional drone operator. Ooh, living the dream. Doing some very, very exciting stuff. And yes, he will be joining us in a little bit, hopefully, once he's able to. Hi, Lindsay, good to see you. And hi, Adrian, as well. And Sunrise Water Media, hello, sir. Ian Whiting, I want to say Whiting then, but Ian Whiting, good to see you as well. So yeah, so thank you again for everybody, and TA Air, sorry, I want to miss you out. Thank you everybody for joining us this evening. I really do appreciate it. This evening, this afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. So this evening, as I say, we're going to be running a review of 2020. But first of all, I wanted to say thank you very much to everybody that's watching, everybody that's ever watched one of my videos, anything at all. Thank you for making YouTube, for me at least, a great year, as 2020 has obviously had its challenges, and I really appreciate everyone's kind support in the last 12 months, and we did hit 5,000 subscribers, so thank you very, very much. very recently. Now, you will remember early, I think it was around September mark actually, we did launch some channel merchandise, which was some t-shirts, which I really wasn't that happy with in the end. Although the samples we got were fairly decent, the reports we got from a couple of people that ordered them were the quality was very up and down. So we decided to knock that on the head. That was with one of the big suppliers. We've now gone in-house and we're now relaunching our new merch on our own website. Yes, we've actually got a special version of it coming out, which is, as you can see here, so our 5k limited edition t-shirts. Now the idea here is that the black t-shirt there, which is our presenter t-shirt as we call it, we're going to be releasing 50 of them, and they're numbered 5k01 to 5k50. Which is exciting, isn't it? There is only going to be 50 of them available. We're not going to be selling our merch that often, and yeah, so you'll be able to go to the link that's Else Makehead has very kindly just popped in the chat there, and buy one of these shirts. As I said, there's only 50. They have started going already. We put them in to we released them exclusively to our members earlier on, and there's also a blue version which you can only order if you are a channel member. And channel members will find the code to be able to order the blue one in the community tab under the members section. So yes, all good fun. So that's that's our merch. So that's really a way of us celebrating the 5,000 mark with releasing 50 shirts. I didn't want to do 5,000 shirts. I thought that would be a bit too many. Not sure there'd be the demand for every single subscriber to buy a shirt, but I'm up for that. You know, if there's a huge demand, we may release another version of them. Who knows? So yeah, so as I say, I want to go through and have a review of 2020 and talk about what's been happening on the channel. One of the first stories that we covered back in January was actually, I'm not sure how many of you in the chat remember this, but it was the Colorado drone mystery, as it was tagged by the mass media and myself, I have to say. And the idea behind that is that basically people were seeing, well, the original sightings where people were seeing swarms of drones, so groups of drones flying over their land, flying over property. A lot of them reported them slowing down, stopping, putting lights on, spotlights on the ground, turning off and going again. And these things were almost sort of microlight sized and almost microlight sounding. Some said they sounded a bit jetty rather than the traditional quad engines. And yes, so I've got a couple of clips of the coverage which we had back then, which I was going to play out. And the first one is actually the intro. So enjoy. As with any of these types of incidents, the sightings are now fairly commonplace, and you have to put a high number of them down to genuine misidentification of planes and helicopters flying through the night sky. Certainly, much of the footage captured recently only tends to show single aircraft, and many have lights which could be explained as general aviation in the area. However, there are those sightings which were reported early on in this incident, which were reporting multiple aircraft at once. Some of those reports even coming from law enforcement themselves. Also, of the dozens of reports and evidence captured, there were many which had the same description and light layout despite being a large distance apart. When you take into account that many of these reports are from hard-working Americans genuinely concerned about what is flying over their property, not simply people trying to get exposure on social media, etc., then there does seem to be a strong enough basis for this to be investigated further. So yeah, so it seemed to be that following those initial sightings around the December time, there were lots of sightings and people were literally taking photographs of aeroplanes and thinking these were drones, you know, airplanes at several thousand feet, just a few blinking lights. So it did become a form of hysteria, essentially, which is a real shame. Eric Watt, thank you so much for the £5 super chat. Really appreciate it. Great to see you, sir. Although I think you told me not to call you sir, actually, and I just did. Sorry about that. You can take it back. You can take your £5 super chat back. I don't mind. So yeah, so it then became a bit of mass hysteria. There were tracking maps showing people's sightings, and it spread through states around Colorado into Nebraska and beyond. Earlier on in the incident, I carried out an interview with a young lady called Ray Marie Knowles, who was a Colorado resident, and she was telling me a little bit about what she saw. Here is a highlight from that interview.
I obviously heard about it on the news, and yes. I know it was predominantly in northeastern Colorado. We're a little bit more central. East central, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So we really hadn't seen it. I hadn't heard about it. I heard it. I know that sounds weird for people who don't understand, but I heard it first. I went out and looked and wasn't sure what I was looking at. And when I looked on the eastern horizon from our place, there were just bright lights everywhere that are not there. That's not part of DIA traffic. That's not there.
No, yeah.
It's far enough. I can't tell if they're moving, hovering, none of that, but they are so bright, these lights. And we had a friend call us. His mom's place is not far from us. And one of those drones flew over her place, turned on what seemed to be like headlights, and flashed a picture. And he says picture because it was like a camera flash.
Yes.
Over her house and road, right where the power station is, which was a little concerning.
Of course.
And then flew off. So then we just kind of started watching, and I went outside because I wanted to see what everyone, we were trying to see that one. And all of a sudden I saw him on that eastern horizon. And then it was a little bit after that when I saw, like, I was looking out the bedroom window, which points east. And I called my husband over and I said, it's moving right for us. And he goes, no. And I said, yeah. And it was coming straight towards our house.
Wow.
Very quickly, very fast. And then we could hear it, we saw it coming and then we could hear it. So we stepped out onto the deck and we watched it, and it flew directly, right over us. You could throw a rock at it. It was the first of 30 on Saturday night that did that.
That's
incredible. And we went in and we were watching the game. The second one is the one that I took in the video.
Yes.
So it flew right over my deck, and we were able to really get, and the video does not show the detail we saw.
Oh, I was enjoying that, actually. I haven't seen that interview for a little while, actually. But yes, it's interesting because, as I say, these are hardworking Americans. They're not, people that are looking for. A lot of the people that I spoke to aren't people that even had Facebook accounts and things like that. They're not people looking for social media exposure or YouTubers or anything else like that. So I do wonder if at the core of it, in those first couple of weeks in December, whether there was something going on and whether there was a company testing something or not. Certainly looking at the issues that people have been talking about from the point of view of it being the government, there seems to have been a lot of work to distance themselves from that, and all wings of the military denied it, which of course they would. Now later in the year, there was some Freedom of Information Act requests sent in by a couple of journalists. One of those let us access those, which was very kind of him. And yeah, we got some more information about what the federal authorities were thinking on this, which here's a clip of what we found. Let's take a look at some of the communications to Special Agent Michael Bumberger and his associates from the FAA's Law Enforcement Assistance Program, known as LEAP. Some of which contain detailed descriptions of the drone formations. Remember, these are from credible witnesses and even law enforcement officers. You can download all the emails and communications mentioned in this video via the links below. The email string showed that the FAA had been contacted by sheriffs in 16 counties across Colorado and Nebraska within a very short space of time. These reports also show similarities with similar craft being reported. Interestingly, one email between FAA agents reports the drone swarm flying close to Senator Gardner's house, and this had prompted a request from Senator's office to speak to the FAA Administrator's office. They also requested that Northcom NORAD are contacted for input. Later in the email stream, an FAA address confirms they are aware of one company, the name is redacted in the release documents, who have the capability and capacity to fly drones for the extended times that have been observed. The same email confirms this mystery company holds a 107.29 waiver allowing night flight, and that they have reached out to them for information. One email from Special Agent Bumberger stated, the activity reported occurs primarily between the hours of 1800 and 2200 MST, and demonstrate the pattern of multiple drones flying a grid type pattern and remain airborne for several hours at a time in less than optimal flying conditions, high winds and storm-like conditions. The number of drones reported at one time range from between 2 and 16 and appear to be approximately 6 feet width and length. Flight time has been 2 to 3 hours continuous. All reports indicate flight is between 2 and 300 feet. However, several people interviewed stated it was hard to determine height due to the darkness and lack of clouds. Other sightings, lights were also reported to be either flashing or steady white, red or green. One report mentioned flashing blue lights. They have not been described as operating in a manner that placed persons on the ground in danger. The content of this email stream, as well as the other documents within the releases, show the FAA did seemingly take the drone sightings very seriously and spent many man-hours attempting to track down the operators of the drones. The general feeling I get from a lot of these documents is that the FAA were looking for the who here, not the if. Those of us within the drone community will be amused by one email highlighted by the war zone, showing a conversation between Steve Dickinson, FAA Administrator, and Angela Stubblefield, FAA Chief of Staff, where they comment that this type of sighting would not so long ago be called a UFO. The reply... Yeah, interesting, isn't it? The Steve Dickinson email at the end, the email chain, where they were quipping with each other that not so long ago all of these sightings would just have been called a UFO and not put down to drones. So I think we know as a community how many drones these days are spotted when in fact it should be called a UFO. But that happens an awful lot in the media at the moment. It's interesting because it's a bit like I think it was Akishiro said. Akirasho said in the chat, hi by the way, he has a large airbase there, saw an F-117 before there were F-117s, and that's one of the things which you think back to all of the hysteria in the 90s with Area 51 and triangular shaped craft being spotted there and that type of thing. And of course it turned out that once the information was released, they really were terrestrial aircraft. They weren't flying alien craft. And again, you might find in a few years' time, perhaps we'll find out that there'll be some kind of swarm drone technology that is being tested there that we're not being told about, that we then find out is actually true. Who knows? It'll be an interesting one. Okay, so excuse me, while I cough. From sunny Colorado, or snowy Colorado as it probably is right now, to Mars. Back in February of this year, we were joined a couple of times, once for an interview and once for a live stream, very thankfully, by Dr. Pascal Lee, who is the director at the Horton Mars Project, NASA Mars Project, and he's also the founder of the Mars Institute. And it's his job to basically work out how we're going to be getting, or parts of how we're going to be getting a manned mission to Mars. And he very kindly joined me for an interview. And if you'd like to see a Mars spacesuit with a glove that can control a drone, take a look at this excerpt from the interview. It's very cool. I noticed in the test video, there was the concept of the fetch was being tested as well, so that the drone could go to that ATV. Perhaps if you're in a hole or something and you think, okay, I need this piece of equipment, and it's on the ATV.
You might need a hook or an anchor. I mean, something that a drone could manage. Obviously, and that's still very vaguely defined, but you might need an oxygen cartridge for some reason. It's a real task to do things in space. Astronauts who go about repairing satellites or space station parts have tools that are designed to require minimal finger pressure. And,
okay, that makes complete sense.
Arm motions. But you can see that if you really want to be a fully well-equipped explorer on a place like Mars, you want to have drones. You want to have something that will give you the aerial perspective. If you
absolutely
want that on the moon as well. And how on earth are you going to fly one of these drones if we stay with the interfaces that we have today? I see a wall behind you there of
controllers, indeed, which wouldn't be much use on Mars, would they? Because they're so intricate, of course.
I'm thinking that as cutting edge as this wall of controllers looks, it will one day feel like it's part of a museum of ancient interfaces.
Absolutely.
Because what we really want is something that will not take up, first of all, both hands of the astronaut. But second, nothing that's going to require joysticking, and requiring finger pinching. And then, of course, you don't want to have an astronaut have to stare down at a screen.
No, of course
while
not.
the drone is up ahead. You want to really streamline all of this into something that's a lot more physically easy to do, and also intuitive and less prone to error, less susceptible to error. So there's this company called Intention. It's like the word intention, but without the I. It's just Intention, starting with an N. And Intention is this startup that was started up by students in engineering students at NTNU. They've designed this glove as one of their first intuitive interfaces to not just fly drones, which is what they advertise, of course, but also to play music. So by waving your hand and
Fantastic.
your fingers, you actually can just play music. By chance, I was attending this conference in Oslo a few months ago, and I ran into this booth where these students were, and they demonstrated how their glove could fly a drone. And this is when all light bulbs in my head fired
Yes,
up.
I can imagine.
Because this was the solution that we were looking for. The movements of the hand, the movements of the wrist, the movements of the fingers a little bit. But the beauty of it is that you can really adjust the sensitivity of your glove to enable a motion with very small finger motions. So therefore, of course, when you are in drone mode, so to speak, you have to be very careful what you do with your fingers.
Of course.
But just let go of your hand and come back to some neutral position. The drone will essentially station keep.
This just looks so instantaneous, which of course you're going to need, because every second will count when they're outside of the mission bases.
So you're correct. The core, the original core of the technology has been around for quite some time. We've had some comments from people, well, didn't Atari or Nintendo do that already? Yes, there is some aspect of that has been around, but the challenge here is to precisely do some very sensitive motions, still effect change on your aircraft, and of course do that in real time with with fast computing happening.
Absolutely fascinating, and it was great to meet and chat with Pascal a couple of times. I would recommend, if anyone hasn't seen the interview and the live stream, to go back, because we don't just talk about the drone side of things. We do talk about the development of the mission, and also taking man to Mars. And of course, we now have our first drone on board, Perseverance, which is currently winging its way to Mars. So in February, around that time, I think it's due to get there. We will be welcoming Pascal back onto the channel to talk about the drone's first ever flights on Mars, which is purely to test whether things will work how they expect. It is a test bed. Although interestingly, the first job that the drone and Perseverance have are actually to take photographs of each other. So sort of Mars selfies of each other. Interestingly, Pascal has actually just released a little paperback book, which is called Mission Mars, which is actually, it's fascinating. It's not meant for my age group. It's only a few dollars, but it's actually a book to get the young people interested in perhaps potentially seeing whether they want to go to Mars. Because of course the young kids reading books like this these days might have that opportunity to become the astronauts that actually go there. So as it says, get ready for the future of space exploration. So that's available in all the usual places. I would recommend it. It's only a few pounds, a few dollars. But that was a fascinating one to see. Okay, next up, we first reported back in March time now that there was a potential new Sony drone coming, we were talking about the patent. So let's have a look at that one. Sony Alpha rumours have claimed an update to the 2018 patent for a new drone from tech giant Sony has appeared. We first got sight of the patent images in a post from 2018, but now it is claimed that the new patent has emerged showing updates and development. The drone appears to be a selfie type drone, which has foldable props and sits inside an LCD fronted case which doubles as a controller. Of course, an updated patent, which Sony Alpha rumours didn't choose to link to, doesn't mean a release, as companies like Sony will patent many lines which are never developed. So yeah, it was a fascinating patent, like a little mobile phone sort of sized, obviously a bit thicker drone there, where you would take the drone out of its case, pop the props out and fly it with the controller that is actually the case, which sounds interesting. Thank you very much for all the £3 super chat. Tommy the Gun 88. Hello, it's a super sticker in fact. It's good to see you. What is that hippo doing? Is he loading his arm or something? Oh, he's loading and then shooting off, I think. Okay. Well, thank you very much for the super sticker. Really appreciate your support. Yes, it's it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because of course Sony are now coming into drones officially. So it's interesting, earlier in the year we were starting to hear about patents being updated and rumours of them coming into the market, but it looks like they are now coming. It has felt like only a matter of time until Sony announces their move into drones. Well, that time is now. The firm has put out a press release accompanied by this teaser trailer and shiny new website. Exciting, isn't it? It's going to be very exciting to see in 2021 one of the large tech giants of the world coming into drones. Obviously, with Sony's experience on the camera side of things, you would hope that we're going to see some great products. Whether, you will hope it doesn't go the way of the GoPro Karma, of course. And in fact, as I said, that Akirasho's put in the chat, Sony equals GoPro Karma. Let's hope not. Let's hope they can do a PlayStation on it and bring something that is competitive. And that's the only compliment you'll hear me giving that in particular. So Sony's MD4, yes indeed. Okay, next up we have the story which actually bled across a couple of years for us, late 2019 into our first full year 2020, which was the Jason Harrison story. And if you remember, this is a chap who was flying his drone in a park in Michigan, in Flint, Michigan, and he was arrested because, frankly, he was a Part 107 flying his drone completely legally, but the parks system had their own made-up ban on drones, basically. And first up, I'd like to play you the audio from his arrest, because this was fascinating. This was captured by Jason in his pocket.
Oh, really? I'm pretty. Yeah, some random guy. Yeah, we don't allow drones in our park system. We do have a place up Genesee Road near Lake. It's like an airstrip type thing. Gotcha. Is the only ones that we allow drones to fly. Gotcha. That's interesting. I'm pretty smart when it comes to drone laws. I didn't really know it's illegal to fly here.
Yep, yeah, yep.
Can you?
No parks.
Can you tell me where that's written at?
Right there, that covers that too.
How's it going?
Any ascent or descent. So.
Alright. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Am I in an airplane?
It's the same thing.
Wait, hold on.
Okay, you want to argue with me, or do you want to? We're not going to sit here and argue about it.
Okay.
That's the rules.
But it's not. Read the rules.
Hey,
Read
no.
what it says.
Okay, do you want a ticket?
If you're going to write me a ticket, what are you going to say?
Okay. Bust out your ID. Break out your ID.
Am I being detained or am I free to go?
No, you're going to get a ticket.
Am I being detained?
Yeah, you're being detained.
Okay.
Put your hands behind your back.
Sure.
Thumbs up. And talk yourself into that one, didn't you?
Yeah, there you go. Right at the end there, you talked yourself into that one, didn't you? From the parks police officer there. Now, there was that was literally as the arrest happened. It was filmed actually by accident. That audio was recorded on a device on Jason's body. He turned off once the officer approached him. He turned the drone off and everything else like that. But when they confiscated his drone and they were taking a look at it by the police car, they actually managed to turn the drone back on to record. By pressing the wrong buttons, etc. And here is the video of them recording themselves talking about the incident.
We got YouTube, take camera up. Oh, no, come he won't put his drone in.
Yeah, he wanted to argue about it. So we're taking his stuff.
That is Jeep.
Yeah.
What's he doing?
Just sitting there filming, then they told him to, they wanted to see the park rule. I showed him about ascent or descent, airplane or whatever, it's the same thing. He didn't want to sit here and argue, it wasn't an airplane, so.
Well, you know what I'd do with him?
Jail.
I'd write him a ticket, take his ass to jail, and release him down there. Yep. That's what I'd do.
Yep. Okay.
Because there's rules to follow.
Yep.
Did you show him the park rule?
Oh yeah, regular ticket, taking all the shit. So.
Well, you finish shit, I'd take him down to jail and release him.
Yeah.
You can actually hear in the background at the end there the train, and it was the train, which is like a sightseeing thing, which was going through the park. That was the reason that Jason was there. He was going to record that coming through the park and capture footage. So he did get arrested and was served a ticket. The ticket was withdrawn very quickly. And Jason did decide to take action, but not for himself personally. He wanted to ensure that there are large park systems that the Genesee Park authorities control, and he wanted to make sure that everybody had the right, which they do have under FAA rules, to fly at that park, and that to prove that the fact that the Parks Police were trying to make up their own rules for drones was not something they were allowed to do. There was a very long court battle, which was formed. The Flyers Down in Michigan actually formed the Michigan Coalition of Drone Operators, and they did take Genesee Parks to court at great expense personally and financially to them. Jason obviously as the figurehead there, and they were in the end very successful, which I will let Jason tell you now. Welcome back to Geeksvana. Thank you for taking the time to update our audience on the situation in Michigan. I understand you've had some good news.
Yes, we do. Finally received the court order from the judge's official opinion, and we won. So victory.
Yay, fantastic. You cannot be stopped flying drones in the park, but also that the FAA regulations must be, or rather the federal regulations must be adhered to. So it's a pretty categoric statement from him to put the whole thing to rest, really.
Yes, and I mean, not just a victory, but a total, complete victory.
Exactly.
We got everything we asked for.
You clearly had some effective legal counsel on this. The whole strategy just seems to have run so perfectly. The entire case seems to have been managed extremely effectively.
Extremely effectively is probably an understatement. Legal counsel is really key to how this played out. He guided us through the entire process and made some key strategic decisions, and certainly he's a master of his craft, and I'm very happy that we stumbled upon him.
Indeed. Do you want to give him a quick plug?
Oh yes, his name is Dean Greenblatt, and he's a fantastic attorney, not just for FAA things, but he does a lot of other law here in Michigan as well. Have
you enjoyed flying in the parks yet? I know it's only just the orders only just come through, but did you go out and fly?
Yeah, it's only been a little more than 24 hours, and but yes, pretty much as soon as I got the opinion and read through it, I had to take care of a couple things, and I loaded up the car and headed on over and did some flying at the park.
Fantastic. Did you fly the drone that was previously confiscated?
Yes, that was the drone I flew.
So the drone itself has found its freedom as well, which is which is very.
I wanted to go back.
So yeah, so as I was saying, it's great news to hear that they did have a victory over there. In actual fact, things turned around twice since then. Almost, Jason actually now sits down and speaks with the Parks Council, and actually has given advice and has helped out in drone matters. There is another video on my channel, which unfortunately was another. Confrontation between this Parks Police and some FPV flyers, which thankfully turned out okay, because they were able to explain, but that turned out okay after the fact. They did still have to stop flying and go away, which is really not the way forward. A real understatement there, isn't it? Not the way forward. But thankfully, people are now to fly are now able to fly their drones legally in the Genesee Park system, which is absolutely fantastic. Okay, up next, we have a good news story which we covered of a very tragic time. If you remember, before the times of the pandemic, one of the big news stories around the world was the wildfires down in Australia, and there was actually a very good news story regarding some drones which were helping out to try and help some of the little furry animals out there. So let's have a look at that video. More positive news from the world of drones is the key difference drones are making in the search and rescue efforts for injured koalas in the bushfire areas of Australia. Victorian Forest and Wildlife officers, along with the Australian Defence Force, are using thermal-equipped drones in the search for the injured animals. A photo gallery article in The Guardian by Douglas Gimsey shows the work with drones to find and identify injured koalas needing urgent care. The drones hover close to the animal and beam pictures back to a nearby van where the operator can assess the health needs of the koala. If further inspection is needed, the animal is then approached for a closer inspection. Those in need of urgent care are then transported to a wildlife triage centre set up after bushfires, where specialist care is on hand to help with the burns and injuries. Once recovered, the koalas are then released back into the wild. This really is a great use of drones for good, and in a very difficult situation. I'm actually just typing into the chat, "Oh, cute bear that will eat your face," because they do look very cute, don't they? But yes, but it was a great idea. It was a great use of drones because, of course, they're able to inspect the koala before they approach it, before they go bothering it, etc. Because if it's perfectly healthy, there's no need to go and catch it. And then any that need treatment, any that have suffered burns, that type of thing, they can very quickly catch the bear and take it along and get it the help it needs, which is, I think, is a really, really positive news story, personally. Up next, not such a positive news story, which we have been covering all year, which is the Microdrone 4.0 debacle, and now what I have on my most recent video deemed, which is very much a scam. Frankly. Now we've been working very closely with the backers on this one. As you know, as a lot of you will know, this is a crowdfunding campaign which has been going for 2 years now, promising a drone for under $200. It's taken millions of dollars from tens of thousands of backers, and are still just messing these people around, frankly. So what I wanted to do very briefly was play out a video which was something we made, which was called The Backers' Voices, which tells you a little bit more from the people that actually backed it, because this became a bit of a mudslinging match between myself and other YouTube creators towards Vernon Kurzweil, the owner of Microdrone, and back. And we wanted to bring it back and make sure people were focusing on the fact that there were people trapped in the situation. So I just wanted to play this one very quickly for you.
Hi Sean, hi everyone. My name is Uli Lachmuth. I'm from Switzerland and I'm one of the unhappy backers of Microdrone 4. What shall I say? I'm utterly disappointed by that project, and especially by the campaign owner, that guy, self-proclaimed drone expert Vernon. I think it's utterly disgraceful what he did to all our backers. What have I got for that? Nothing. First contribution was in February 2019, sorry. At that time, we all believed that the drone would really be delivered in June 19. Now June 19 is just 1 year back now.
Long story short, I was supposed to receive this drone as a present for my wife. She didn't know anything about Indiegogo, about crowdfunding. She just heard me talking about this drone. She went there, she seen guaranteed June delivery. She bought it and she wasn't happy because on my birthday it didn't arrive. My birthday was in July. She bought it in, I think, at the end of the May, but it didn't arrive. And still after a year, it didn't arrive.
Hey everybody, my name is Everett Rankin, contribution number 14849. So at the end of June 2019, there was a lot of confusion on the comments page about whether or not the drone would be delivered by the end of June 2019 as guaranteed in the advertisement. So I actually sent a personal email to Vernon telling him, all this confusion, have no idea. If I order a drone today, when can I expect to get it? So that was the first personal lie that I was told for this campaign.
So I first found out about this project at the photography show in the NEC in March 2019. When I was there, I saw Vernon and his booth, and all looked very busy. He had a Microdrone 3.0 that he seemed to be showing off to people, and there was a video showing everything that 4.0 could do. Lots of people are asking questions about what this could and couldn't do, and basically Vernon was saying it could do video, it could do photos, it was tried and tested. Look at the video here, this is made, it's ready to go into production. All we need is the money for production. It will be in your hands by June. So I had 2 holidays coming up, and I really wanted to capture some HD video, as well as some 12 megapixel photos. Obviously on this big screen behind him, he had all the specs up and it said 12 megapixel photos. Fantastic. So I went home a few days later, went back on the Indiegogo page, again, watched through the same video, really liked what I saw, couldn't believe it was going to be in my hands in a couple of months' time, and submitted my money.
Shortly after, I think it was in March, all of a sudden the refund window was closed by Mr. Kerr as well. At that time, he claimed he had a fully tested production-ready drone, and briefly after the production window was the refund window was closed, the downgrade started. Originally was advertised the 12 megapixel camera in that drone.
So as you can see there, it was a very difficult situation. It was something that obviously so many of the people involved have had their money. I believe, whether or not Microdrone 4.0 started out as a legitimate thing, I don't know, but certainly now it has become something which is frankly has to go down as the level of a scam, unfortunately. And I really hope these people get their money back. We have been helping individual backers in the UK get their money back through small claims. There's some very good backers who started that process, have been helping each other out, which is great to see. But I'd like to see the thousands of people get something back on the investment that they made. Okay, coming up next, we're actually going to be joined again by my co-host and colleague Stephen. So that's coming up right next.
Did you know the most interesting people in the world subscribe to this channel? Coincidence, obviously.
And here we are, a very sweaty, swept, and you look like you've been spending a week on the beach.
Well, actually, I have. I've been spending a weekend. I've been on the beach, and I'll be on the beach now for the next 6 or 7 weeks or something, or
Wow.
8 weeks.
Wow! But you're not exactly putting your feet up, are you? Hence you look quite tired right now.
I am. I've been here now for over a week, and I was thinking today that I need to be able to put my feet up next to the pool or the beach, and I might not get to do that until maybe next week or something. I don't know. But anyway, good to see everyone. Good to see you, Sean. Thank you for having me again.
Well.
Sorry I'm late.
Thank
good
you.
to see everyone in the chat.
You're out there living the dream.
Welsh
So,
Rob,
am I right that it's 1:46 a.m. right now?
Yes, it is. It's
Wow.
1:46 a.m. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you come straight off a very late night job and come to join us, which I hugely appreciate. But that is some real.
Yeah.
You definitely get the dedication badge for this evening. So well done.
Thank you very much.
I really appreciate it, and I look forward to a time where you'll be able to share with your channel, which is the Flyby Guys. I'm going to put the link to in the chat right now. I would recommend you go over and subscribe to Stephen, because when he is able to tell you what he's doing over there, it will be very, very, very exciting. Those will be some very exciting videos. So yes.
Well, there's lots of social media stuff out there right now, so
Yeah, you could probably find it.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I think you can find what I'm doing out here, but it's I think if you search not very hard, it's easy to find.
Yes.
It's certainly all over tonight now. So it's
indeed.
Well, our first night tonight.
So far tonight, we've chatted back about a few of the stories we've been covering on the channel, such as the Colorado drone mystery, and of course Sony coming into the drone market. We've also chatted about the drones that are being developed to go to Mars, which is always exciting, and the success that Jason Harrison had over in Michigan with getting some very bad state level or even county level rules overturned in the favor of FAA regulations, which is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, the
next,
Sony thing's interesting though. The
Yeah.
Sony things. I think I'm looking forward to seeing what Sony produce. I'm just looking forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
See the George in there as well.
You did actually
Sorry,
miss.
George.
You did actually miss a positive comment about Sony and the PlayStation earlier. So you'll have to watch back when you're awake tomorrow. I did give a compliment,
We'll watch
but it was backhanded because I then said, "Oh, I don't often give compliments to PlayStation." So
I'll have to record that.
Yes, and I do have my Xbox sign in the background just as a balance there, because of course Xbox is the best, and I'm sure everybody in the chat agrees with me that Xbox is the number one console. You know, these PlayStation boys were messing about with it until Microsoft came along and did it properly.
Yeah.
Well, up next we have we're going back into space in actual fact, and we're going to be talking about the X-37B, which is a drone, which is in the form of a space shuttle. It's actually a much smaller space shuttle, and it's up in the Earth's lower orbit right now. And one of its previous missions actually spent 790 days up there, doing all sorts of secret missions and different tests. So I will play out a little video to everyone to remind them of that. Today we're going to be talking about the US Air Force drone plane, which has returned to the Earth's lower orbit, and looking at what it is doing up there. Regular viewers will remember our previous report showing the secretive space drone coming back to Earth after an impressive mission in lower orbit, setting a record of 780 days. In fact, the program's spacecraft has spent an incredible 2,865 days in orbit across all missions. Now, as you would expect, being a project linked to many US intelligence agencies and launched under the banner of the US Space Force, finding out exactly what the drone has been doing up there has been a difficult mission during previous flights. However, this time there has been more released about some of the functions it will carry out in Earth's lower orbit. We'll come back to that in a moment. For now, let's go back and look at the craft itself and the exciting launch of the drone plane into space. The Boeing X-37B, also known as the Orbital Test Vehicle, is a reusable robotic spacecraft. The first X-37 flew during a drop test in 2006, with its first orbital mission launching in April 2010. Other highlights include the fifth mission being launched on a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. Size-wise, although the X-37B looks like the Space Shuttle, it actually measures just over 29 feet or 8.8 meters. The drone aircraft is designed to operate in a speed range of up to Mach 25 on its re-entry. The landing occurs automatically upon returning from orbit, which is only the second craft to do so. This rendering shows the overall design of the drone aircraft. However, the markings will be slightly different as the US Space Force have begun naming the craft under their own system, making the sixth craft, which is up in orbit as of this video going live in 2020, named USS-7 or US Space Force 7. Once in space, the X-37B is powered electrically by gallium arsenide solar cells with lithium-ion batteries. The payload bay measures about 7 feet by 4 feet or 2.1 meters by 1.2 meters. As this video from Boeing shows, it is boosted into space by a launch vehicle. It is currently operated by the United States Space Force and is officially intended to demonstrate reusable space technologies. Previously, the development of the wider program has found its home under several different agencies, including NASA, who started the project in 1999 before passing the baton to the US Department of Defense in 2004. The launch of the sixth X-37B mission took place successfully on May the 16th from Cape Canaveral in Florida. Whilst the US Air Force still owns the aircraft officially, it is the newly formed US Space Force which will oversee the upcoming mission, operation and landing. The new stewardship of the program has brought with it a little more openness about the general mission, with more being released to the public. This includes information that the X-37B will, amongst other operations, launch a small satellite called Falcon Sat 8 that was developed by the US Air Force Academy, which itself holds 5 experimental payloads. Other publicly acknowledged projects on board include one that will deliver solar power to the ground from space via radio frequency microwave energy. Oh, do you know what? I'm so used to not having Stephen tonight. I've come back to me. So there you go. 2 o'clock in the morning in Dubai after a very hard day's work, and you manage to get yourself online, and then I don't come back to the 2-shot. That's nice, isn't it? I don't know.
I say, well, we'd had a good chat. We did have a good chat. There.
We did have a good chat, exactly. But it's interesting. Some of these videos that I'm playing, obviously from different news stories from throughout 2020. How many times I changed my studio. I think that this is the most consistent I've had it for a while, and I'm pretty happy with it now. And I think it's gonna, apart from maybe I think these are getting a bit old now, so that they might get replaced at some point. But yeah, it's gone through some evolutions in just 11 months, which is crazy, really.
Yeah, you should really add some PlayStation controllers to the back there as well.
There is one.
There is one.
Yeah, actually, do you know what? When I rearranged them, because I took everything down and repainted the wall grey because it bounces the colour better. Anyone that's doing YouTube for backgrounds, 18% grey paint reflects the light perfectly.
Ooh.
And yeah, no, in fact, they are all Microsoft controllers, and there's an original Xbox controller up the top there actually, which is very cool.
Okay.
Yes. But yeah, the X-37B, the drone that was just on the video there, it's absolutely fascinating, and it actually it has an egg-shaped orbit. So that, because obviously if something's in normal orbit, especially the Earth lower orbit, it can be tracked. Obviously everyone's watching, the Chinese, Russians, whoever wants to watch, but it actually goes in an egg-shaped orbit so that at the peak of the egg, it's able to almost turn back on itself and then disappear. So there's only a short period where the world's, the world's space agencies are able to track this thing. So then of course it can disappear off.
Yeah.
Absolutely fascinating, isn't it? The amount of time that it's been up there, that it blows my mind, frankly. I mean, one of the missions having 700 odd days is incredible.
Yep, exactly. I know, and obviously, there's, what is it really doing up there? That's one of the big things as well.
Yes.
What is it doing? And I think that is more of a story in itself.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Well, some of the projects that they actually tell us about that are on there, things like there's a microwave energy which will give actually power devices on the Earth's surface from the ship. That's crazy tech. That's where tech starts to be you start to think this is witchcraft almost, don't you?
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Well,
it's
now,
true.
as someone that's doing some interesting things overseas, you'll appreciate this next video. It's actually EHang, who have we were reporting earlier in the year, have actually got permission to essentially turn the Zhejiang province of China. There's a city there into the first drone city, essentially. So they were able to get special permissions to do all sorts of special passenger drone flying, etc. And one of the things they're doing is actually they've opened a hotel experience there. So let's take a look at that. Go on.
Do you know something?
Go on.
I visited that place. I've been to that place before.
You've been to the hotel?
Yes.
Okay, you'll have to tell us about it after this. That's exciting.
I'll tell you.
Who promote themselves as urban air mobility pioneers, have taken their concept of automated aviation vehicles, or AAVs, from something which initially seemed unlikely to now have completed several safety tests and even gained permissions for flight. As you might expect, EHang are constantly looking to evolve and promote their AAVs. This has led them to partner with hotel owners in Guangzhou, China, to provide a unique experience to tourists and business travellers. Tourists will be able to take flight in one of EHang's passenger drones to view local landmarks such as the Canton Tower, Beijing Road and the Pearl River. The drone theme will continue within and around the hotel with further experiences including educational and even drone light shows. The hotel will also enjoy regular drone deliveries to guests. EHang stated about the new joint venture, the programme will promote the innovative integration of aerial sightseeing, traveller transportation, air logistics, aerial media light shows, intelligent expositions and education. The press release continued stating it will also promote the new experience of air tourism and explore other commercial uses for EHang's AAVs. The first passenger drone themed hotel will be the LN Garden Hotel in Nansha, a coastal district in Guangzhou. The concept follows a deal struck between EHang and the Chinese government to establish the area as China's first and the world's leading UAM smart city, confirms founder and chairman of EHang, Hu Haozi. It is thought that the technologies such as 5G will have a large part to play in developing Guangzhou into a UAM smart city, leading to what EHang expect will result in a multi-trillion-dollar marketplace by 2040. This is a potentially exciting development, and I would certainly consider visiting a drone-themed hotel. The concept behind it isn't that new though. Essentially what EHang are looking to do here is create a positive image of their passenger drones to a world, and thus creating an acceptance of them. So when we book our flight from JFK in New York, taking a passenger taxi to the airport won't seem such a stretch. And look, I even managed to come back to the right shot this time and include Stephen. It's absolutely fascinating, some of the leaps that they're making in China, isn't it? To have a drone themed hotel with the drone light shows, and being able to take these tours around the Bay Area over there in the Zhejiang province, I think is how you pronounce it.
Yes, well said. That was very well pronounced. Yeah, I've been to. I wasn't that one I was at, but I was at a similar smart city. When I was over there with the World UAV Federation, and they took us out to this, the city, which was maybe 2 or 3 hours from Beijing.
Yes,
and it was really incredible. I mean, you had drones flying around it. Smart hotels where there was no staff in them at all. And it was really quite incredible just to see
amazing.
how far they are so much further than us in the West.
Yes.
Indeed.
It's
really
when they want to do something, they just do it, whatever the risk, whatever the it is. They do have a more flexible system, shall we say, that will suit them.
Yeah, but it's also how they do their test beds. So even like a test bed. I mean, even the city that I visited, it was a test bed.
Yes,
but what we call a test bed and what they call a test bed is completely different.
Yes.
Their test bed is a fully functioning city, everything
Let's see
works.
If it actually works, yeah.
Yeah, whereas our test beds are, they're full of bugs and people are trying them and not really much comes from it in a sense. So,
exactly.
It's just quite amazing this sort of difference in what they call a test bed. And which is a fully functioning product in a sense, But these smart hotels were incredible. There was no staff in them. Everything was facial recognition. When you walked in, the facial recognition, would give you your key and all the rest of it, and then that would, allow you to buy food or get into your room. And there was no one there apart from those that were maybe coming to clean. I don't know how the cleaning was done. But it was really amazing.
It's incredible, isn't it? Once you get automation to that level, it's amazing, but also quite scary as well, because you think the amount of data they collect.
Yeah, but this is what we are doing. So we're working with drones, which are the future in a sense. Yes. So this is how it will be in maybe 20 to 30 years time. So. If we would have said 50, 60 years ago that we would be having mobile phones and stuff and doing, doing everything with these kind of things, people would have thought you've been crazy, But now it's just a part of it everyday life, and that will be the same when it comes to smart cities and drones and all the rest of it. It will be, it will be a part. In China again, where you see how drones are being used and stuff, it's just quite incredible how, even in agriculture. It really is, and they're saving lives, which is very important.
Well, next up, we've got we're going to swing completely in a different direction again, and this is actually a very short video from a story that we featured, which was a chap called Merman Mike, who actually is has one of these channels where he'll go diving to look for things, and he'll recover people's wedding rings and return them, which is awesome, and that type of thing. He actually went diving and found some DJI drones, which is pretty awesome. Yes, if I can find the right button, that is. Keep talking.
Yep.
No, I'm joking.
I remember that one actually.
He says hitting his microphone.
I remember that.
That's karma. When Mike Pelly, aka Merman Mike, found a drone whilst out treasure diving, he had no idea what death-defying stunt was captured on the SD card. Diver Mike Pelly runs an awesome YouTube channel called Merman Mike, where he goes out treasure diving and attempts to reunite owners with the riches he discovers. Little did Merman Mike realise that this particular driving trip would discover something very different. When he downloaded the footage from the SD card, Mike found that whoever flew the drone had captured some pretty unique, if heart-stopping footage. The drone footage showed a man climbing up onto the side of a bridge, seemingly getting ready to jump into the water from what seems a dangerous height. Geeksvana's own calculations have the drop at over 100 feet. Then, as many onlookers prepare their mobile phones to capture the daredevil moment, the man reaches his critical decision. After only a few seconds, but what seems like a lifetime, the man comes up for air and seems fine. What you see here is the unedited footage as found by Mike. Astonishingly, as this further clip shows from his dive that day, this was the second DJI drone found in the waters under the bridge. The drone was undamaged apart from a hefty scratch on the front and a dislocated arm which Mike reattached. Incredibly, the man pictured in the video making the jump was tracked down and interviewed by Inside Edition. Evan Ellington seems to be a bit of a thrill seeker who admits he was walking, or should we say, jumping, a fine line of legality. For more on the finds in the murky depths, including some more drones, there is a link in the description to Merman Mike's channel, who I'd like to thank for providing Geeksvana with the footage for today's video. What are your thoughts on this story? Let me know in the comments below. We read and respond to every single one, and I love interacting with you all. If you're new here, Geeksvana is a channel focused on drones and tech, including the latest drone news, how-to videos, tech reviews, and even some fun live streams. For more, hit the subscribe button, and to get the latest drone news first, hit the notification bell. See you next time.
Please remember to like and subscribe.
There you go. I actually forgot to cut out the very end bit there with my... See, I pressed the wrong button out of panic there. But that was a really interesting story. And in actual fact, as the full news article that came hot on the heels of that story, they did actually track down the owner of the drone and return it to him with his card. Although there was no conversation as to whether you were supposed to be flying in that state park or whether it was everything happening was completely legit. But hey, it's an interesting story, isn't it? It's incredible some of the stuff that chap finds. When he's out diving, everything, as I say, from wedding rings to drones to all sorts of things. And there's another channel similar to that I do actually follow quite closely, and they've even found things like weapons that turned out to be murder weapons when they've been checked, and and that type of thing. So they've helped criminal cases, etc. So yeah, absolutely fascinating. Back to more more direct drones, and of course we have something which is supposed to come next year. I'm not sure if I don't know whether it will come to fruition that quickly, but we have the Amazon Ring drone, which is going to be an interesting one. Have you seen this story?
Yes. Yes.
I'll play this one out and we'll have a little chat about this afterwards. Today was Amazon's fall hardware event, where we get a sneak preview at what will be coming up for the tech giant in terms of smart tech. The biggest surprise of today's show was probably the announcement of a security drone, which will fly around your house reacting to potential threats. The drone, which will be available in 2021 and priced at around $250, will be marketed as part of the Ring Always Home package. The preview video released by Amazon shows the Ring security being tripped when a burglar breaks in. As soon as the criminal notices the drone flying around, he flees. Now this of course is a promo video, and it would be very interesting to see how many offenders a small lightweight drone will put off, but certainly the knowledge they're being surveilled should deter them. The concept of the Always Home idea of course allows you to see areas of the property you choose rather than being tied to a particular camera angle from your security. Absolutely fascinating, isn't it, that little drone? It was announced at their fall tech event for next year. So it's one of those ones, they have the headline grabber to say, hey, this is the amazing stuff we've got coming out. And that was one of them, which it certainly was amazing. I think most of my commenters on the video that we put out, which that one got a few thousand views, did very well actually. A lot of people were sort of saying, well, won't the burglar actually steal the drone as well? And it's not exactly, if you've got if you've got a balaclava on, it's not exactly that intimidating. Yes, the person knows you're in their house, but you just knock the thing out of the air. I suppose the good thing is, because a bit like the Ring doorbells and things, it will notify you. So I suppose you know straight away that someone's in your home. Yeah. And I would say they're probably more likely to leave very quickly if they know they've been spotted and recorded in any kind of way. But I think I'm probably going to get one for the fun of it. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I would get one for the fun of it. There's not much point in getting one for where I live in Helsinki, because we have very low crime. So it would be it would just be purely for the novelty value.
Yeah, and about $250. It's there or thereabouts that you can, especially with the excellent Amazon returns policy, so you can have a play with it and see what it's like. But it's going to be an interesting one. I have to say, I'm going to be out at dinner when we're allowed to go out to dinner. That is, and I'm just checking home, flying the drone around the house. I'll be insufferable.
You can check if you've left you can check if you've left your keys at home.
Yeah, I mean, you would be doing things deliberately, like, I don't know, having to check on the cat, or having to check that did I lock the front door? Oh, I have to check. You'll be making reasons up to use it. Frankly, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. I think it's a fun piece of tech, and I suppose I don't know whether it also, because normal people will be using them, whether it's also quite a nice introduction for some people into drones, that they might actually have quite a positive view of them as well. If they got that thing working in their house, they'd be like, actually, the Mavic Mini might not be that difficult for me to fly and enjoy, and that type of thing. So it could be positive. It could be positive.
Anything which is an entry, which is a positive attitude, this social acceptance, as I like to always say, is that that society has the ability to accept. This is one avenue where it should be accepted. It should allow people to see them for what they really are. So,
exactly.
I'm in favour. Well, because I do think that they should be used for good, and drones are being used for good. Just like, when we had the chat with Austin, I think it was 2 weeks ago, that he quite he quite clearly says that there's more there's more good being used for drones than is negative.
Reasons
but
very
people
limited.
But people focus on the negative more on the positive, because that's what, in a sense, creates the headlines. So
the politics
something
of
to always remember.
Yes, indeed, and it's as some people have been mentioning pets and animals in the chat actually, and I think I think my 3 cats will be sat around it waiting for it to take off to hit it down. I noticed on the video they had one where it was on a table. No, that wouldn't work, and they did have it on some of their marketing perched on a fireplace, which has more chance, but I think it would need to almost be put on its own little shelf where other animals can't get on, out of reach, frankly, because otherwise it's going to be gotten by a little Jack Russell or an angry Siamese very, very, very quickly.
Yes. Well, the challenge there is to take it out, play with it, and get it back in before they can actually hit it. So,
Indeed. Well, next up, we've got one which was a very popular story with the drone hobby. It was Brooke on Foot. I don't know if you recall that one at all. Which was a young lady. That was the name of her a channel. A young lady called Brooke. Her channel's called Brooke on Foot, and she lives in Thailand. And she uses the drone to get cool drone shots and that type of thing. And actually, her drone crashed on an island. And the part of her video that I'm going to share, which I absolutely love, is the part towards where she gets a resolution as to whether or not she finds it.
It's been 2.5 hours. I am in the exact spot that it should be, according to the DJI app. Like, this is exactly where it should be, and I can't fucking find it. And because it doesn't have the alarm, they really need to fix that. The alarm should happen whenever you get within range. That would be smart. You'd think for the amount of money I paid for this, I would have that. Oh my god, I'm so fucking tired of this. It's been 3 hours. hours and I can't find it. The fucking map, like, it won't show me an accurate location of where I am. The map had my current location wrong the whole time. These screenshots were taken when I was resting and hadn't moved. Sometimes it said I was places I couldn't physically be. Oh my god. It is what it is, I guess. At least I tried.
So yeah, unfortunately, trying to, after all that, hours and hours of searching, being stung by hornets, cut up to, really, really, really difficult. But then she turns around and Brooke.
Oh my god, I found it! Oh fuck, yes! It's hella broken. I found it! And now to get back down, I'm jumping into the water. I'm not climbing, like, I'm hot, I'm thirsty. Oh, yes! This is where the drone actually was.
Absolutely fantastic, isn't it? It's such a. I love her reaction when she finds the drone. If you find Brooke on foot, the YouTube channel, it's well worth watching the full video because it's an adventure, isn't it? When she decides to climb up this sheer rock face without any kind of safety gear just to go get that drone back is incredible. So yes, hats off to her.
Nice for a happy ending.
Exactly. Okay, next up, we're going from sunny locations to somewhere slightly less sunny. I'm going to take a trip over to Chernobyl.
Oh,
yes, and this was actually the Helios 2 drone, which the company behind that very flyability very kindly allowed us to share their story and show some of the footage. And I wanted to give an unedited version of the footage to show everybody the drone flying in Reactor 5 at Chernobyl to ascertain whether or not there were any fuel rods in the pools, basically, and whether there was any matter in there which needed cleaning up. This is an absolutely fascinating little video, this, and again really does show a very positive use of drones. there we go. It is a bucket list kind of place, isn't it? It's one of those things that you think in your mind. I mean, and as for actually going there on a work project and flying a drone, that would just be mind blowing. And in the full video, you can see that it's actually the Elos 2 is one of those little drones that's within a ball, basically within, like, you know, those sort of mesh balls that you used to have as a child that you could pull in and out.
Yeah.
So it can bounce off.
You can basically throw. Yeah, you can just throw it around and it can crash and it's, you know.
And it shares a lot of parts like cameras and that type of thing with the Otel series, Evo series. So they've been very clever bringing together the bits that they had to innovate and make fresh, but then also using stuff that they know works, which is pretty clever. I've had some feedback from people over in Ukraine that actually that part of the site isn't that toxic, and actually other people have been in there before. So it's interesting feedback, because that reactor was never actually commissioned, but they certainly the mission they were on, that they weren't sure of that, or whether what work had happened, because of course we're talking about a pre-computerized time where files were still physical, and they simply don't have access to those files anymore, unfortunately. So for obvious reasons, everyone left so quickly, didn't they? So. Now, the other very big story which we've been covering all year and will be continuing to cover into next year is, of course, the EASA regulations and the UK's adoption of those, and of course the rollout of them across Europe. We've had lots of videos on that, so we won't be playing a video on that right now. But only to say that we're going to have a lot more on that side of things coming up, so everybody should stay tuned to Geeksvana for that one. I just wanted to very quickly mention again the merch. Actually, I can bring it up by pressing that. There we go. If you go to geeksvana.com/merch, you can order one of the 50 limited edition shirts with the 5K01 to 5K50 numbering on the side there. Limited edition. We're only going to be having 50 of them out there. They've started going this evening already, actually. My phone's already been pinging. We released them a couple of hours early to members, and there was a bit of a flurry trying to get those first few low numbers. Which is exciting, isn't it? It's quite good. And Stephen doesn't even have a shirt yet, do you, Stephen? I mean, I don't have it. It took Lib months to get one, to be fair. So and she's only down the road to me in comparison to you, especially at the moment. So yes.
Yes, I mean, I could, you know, what better way I could be out there in the sun on the beach with a Geeksvana t-shirt on.
Exactly, getting all those new Dubai subscribers. I'm missing out.
Yes. You are.
Okay, well that's going to be it for tonight's show. Thank you so much for making the time to come and join us. I really do appreciate it, Stephen. You've been a
problem.
You've been a huge asset. I said asset to the channel, and some of the live shows we've done together have been absolutely fantastic. And you know, I really do appreciate everything you're doing for the hobby, and obviously for the profession. You are talking the talk and walking the walk. You're not just some guy that sits in a room saying blah 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 drones, blah blah blah. You're actually out there doing it. So, and I appreciate you taking the time to come and join us on a regular basis as well.
Not a problem.
And
it's
I'm looking forward to
absolute pleasure, and I really appreciate it. And it's been really wonderful to be on, you know, to be helping you and, you know, co-hosting the show, and all, you know, and everyone out there, you know, Mike Miller, Els Meghead, Big George, everyone out there. I see you all, and just thanks for your support and everyone, and hope you all have a really, really nice Christmas. I won't have a Christmas or New Year this year. I'm going to be working. I don't have any Christmas. I'm not having a Christmas or New Year.
Crazy.
I'm going to be working. So when you guys are having a nice time, you can think about me.
When we're all dodging COVID.
Yeah, I literally. I mean, I actually have to be wearing masks all the time.
I'm sure
everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, this is just. I mean, my ears are sore that it's just constantly hanging from my ears. But that's how it is.
You have to take your hats off as well to the world of commerce, because the world of business has found different ways to carry on. Because of course we do need an economy to come back to. So you know, it's good to see that we're finding ways for people to still do what they need to do, frankly, and you know, the rest of us need to try and stay safe where we can. So But yes, excellent. Well, until next time, everybody, thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for all the super chats. It's amazing to see all the channel members in the chat. That's been another massive highlight for me this year. Opening up our members section, we weren't sure how it would go. We're still a relatively small channel, and the uptake's been fantastic. Thank you very much. I hope you're enjoying the members only content. There's some amazing stuff coming next year, even if I do say so myself. Listen to me.
I know. Listen, a quick shout out to Lawrence from Nova Squads, who's been sick this week. He's been very sick this week, I heard. So I hope he gets well soon. So Lawrence, please get well soon.
Indeed. And also, actually, while she was saying that, all my thoughts go out to Lib, our other co-host as well. Unfortunately, her grandfather, who she was very close to, he's actually the man that raised her. He passed away this week. Which of course would rock anybody to lose an effective parent figure, would rock anybody. So all our thoughts to you, Lib, and we look forward to seeing you very, very soon. Bless you. But yes, on that note, we will say good night to everybody and see you next time on Geeksvana Live.